It is International Women's Day, of course. We've had the first Status of Women report released today by the Labor government. Joining me live now, Shadow Infrastructure and Transport Minister Bridget McKenzie. Thanks very much for your day. So this snapshot has been provided. How do you think the nation is going on gender equality?
Well, a lot better than when I was at primary school at Benalla East, Tom, and I think we need to sort of look that this is a progression over time. And, you know, when I was lecturing in education before I got into politics, a lot of my young students couldn't believe there was ever a period of our history where women weren't paid the same amount as men. But I remember my own mother telling me that as a primary school teacher in a small country town, she was paid 75% of what the guy teaching in the classroom next to her was getting.
There's a pay gap. So your point is this was the same job and everyone knew publicly you get less money, you're a woman.
Correct. And so we've got to sort of reflect, and International Women's Day, a great opportunity to reflect on how far we have come. I mean, I even look at the National Party room here in the political arena. When I arrived, I was the first female sent from the state of Victoria by a party that was nearly a century old to Canberra. And now my Senate team is in excess of 60%. I've been a leader in our party for many years, and our whole party room has close to 30% female representation, which is a huge jump when I arrived 12 years ago.
Has it changed, the Nats party room, as a result?
Yeah, it has actually. And I'm surprised by how much it has changed as a result of having more strong, natural female in that room.
Was there resistance to that amongst
not at all.
Any existing MPs?
No. And so that's what I think. I think that, you know, we're obviously a side of politics and a political party that doesn't believe in gender quotas. It's against our philosophy. And so every single one of those female senators or MPs comes here on her own and as selected as the best person to represent her community or our party. And that shows on the floor of the party room and the parliament, which is great. One thing, Tom, I did note in the report was that women do the most work, paid and unpaid. So I think if there is...
Unpaid housework is always this one that's highlighted. So,
well, it is, Tom. You've got to clean the toilet.
I reckon, I can say this because my wife usually isn't watching. I'll shame her on that. If she is, then I'm in trouble. I'm pretty good, I reckon.
Okay.
I feel like, but I'm not trying to say, wow, me. I feel like the younger generation.
I do too.
There's, you know, okay, there's probably a few different roles. I'm told that I'm not great at washing clothes because I don't separate colours that well, and maybe I do more of the bins. But do you feel like the younger generation coming through, it's no longer... You're a woman, you do all the work. Is that a bit of a
I hope so. No, I hope so. So I think about, say, my generation of parents. We're sort of in our 50s and 60s. We raised, I hope, a generation of women to do whatever they wanted to do and be whatever they wanted to be, but also our sons to not expect their future wives and partners to pick up the slack at home.
Exactly.
So hopefully we've done our bit.
Yeah, it's a generation of sons that will do it rather than create a sort of expectation.
Absolutely.
All right.
Embrace equity.
The rate rise, another rate rise, of course, has come through. I'm really interested in this because a lot of people say people are at the margins and they're affected. What can we do? There's inflation. What about the APRA buffer rules? If you're refinancing, so if you're out there going, oh, I'd love to get a better rate, you still have to get assessed at 3% above the current rates, even if you're not getting any more money. Is that a bit of an anomaly with the system and shrinking competition that you can't change banks just because the next one has to assume, even though you're paying off your loan already, rates are going to go up by 3% and they better not take your loan on?
Well, I think it's incredibly difficult at the moment. I mean, I was watching people, news just who have seen their repayments double over the last year, and it is really biting. On top of the energy increases, the food inflation's almost at 10%, and I think the RBA has gone very hard, obviously, but in the lack of a clear fiscal strategy from the federal government, they've had to, and they've had little choice otherwise. So I think there is an onus on the government to be looking at a raft of measures to really give Australians the best opportunity to reduce the impact of this fiscal environment and the monetary policy decisions that are being made on their household budgets. And obviously that is one area that the government could actually look at. I've been really concerned in my own policy area about the government considering a Truckee's tax, which...
And I'll talk about that in a moment, but when you're saying the government should look at that, this was something, the buffer rule after the Royal Commission, and it makes sense. You don't want to increase, banks having risky loans, but these are loans already in the economy. If people are trying to refinance and that's stopping them, that seems crazy, doesn't it?
Well, I think it's something that needs to be looked at, obviously. I mean, in this sort of environment, we haven't seen these sort of pressures for decades. And so everything needs to be on the table on how we assist the community to get through without increasing the inflationary pressures, which I think, in the absence, as I said, of a clear fiscal strategy from the government, the RBA is having to make really, really tough decisions.
Okay, and the road user tax for heavy vehicles, is it the reality that these vehicles cause more damage? La Nina's hurt our roads a lot, that a bit of extra money is needed?
Well, Tom, the reality is that every single product you buy, whether it's produced here in Australia or whether it comes in by a port, arrives to your shop or your home via a truck. Now, this tax that they are considering right now will add $2.6 billion over 3 years, and that is going to be passed through our whole economy on every single product. Labor needs to rule this out because this is exactly the type of decision that Lowe and the RBA looks at. Where is the government going on these sort of things? These sort of decisions might seem quite minor and one-offs, but when they form part of an inflationary impact right across me, that will play into Lowe's decisions around interest rates. So the government has to rule it out before the May budget.
We've been seeking to get the Minister on. We will keep asking.
Thank you.
See how we go. Bridget McKenzie, thank you.
Cheers.